In this final segment, we're switching our focus from the major minerals to the trace minerals. The first one we're going to talk about is iodine, which is part of thyroxine, which is a hormone that's made by the thyroid gland. It's very important because it regulates the body's metabolic rate, body temperature, reproduction, growth, and heart functioning. A deficiency of iodine can cause goiter. When someone has a goiter, the cells of their thyroid gland enlarge because the thyroid can't make the thyroxine because there's not enough iodine in the diet. And some symptoms include sluggishness, forgetfulness, and weight gain. So if you see someone that has sort of this extra bump around where their thyroid gland would be in their throat area, this is probably a goiter. So if you Google image, goiter, you can see what that looks like. I think there's also a picture in your textbook. Cretinism is caused by iodine deficiency during pregnancy, and this can cause irreversible mental and physical retardation. So it's really important to have adequate iodine intake during pregnancy to prevent this because it cannot be, any of these symptoms cannot be reversed. Iodine is toxic at intakes of greater than 800 micrograms per day, and it's found in things like kelp, seafood, iodized milk, iodized salt, So look for salt that has iodine added, so iodized salt, and then milk is another good source of iodine. All living cells in the body contain iron, and there are two proteins that help to carry oxygen that need iron. So hemoglobin is found in the red blood cells, and myoglobin is found in muscles. So both of these proteins have an iron component, and they're transporting oxygen in their respective area. Iron is also involved in the production of new cells, amino acids, hormone, and neurotransmitters. It promotes brain development, and it's also important for a healthy immune system. Like calcium, iron is also very tightly regulated from the body. So we can have small iron losses every single day, which is completely normal from things like our digestive tract shedding. Our nail and hair trimmings have a little bit of iron in them. Shed skin cells will also lose some iron that way. But the main way, or the most concerning way of losing iron is going to be through blood or bleeding. So that's when we need to be concerned about iron losses through bleeding. Iron is very, very, very important to human health, so it's important to have adequate intake. But too much iron, if we don't have anywhere for the iron to go, can be oxidized, and this can result in inflammation. So that's why it's important to have plenty of antioxidants in our diet, so things like vitamin C and vitamin E, to help counteract some of these free radicals that may be formed when there's too much iron in the body. Hepcidin is an important protein that helps to regulate blood iron levels. So hepcidin is secreted by the liver whenever there's really high iron in the blood. And what hepcidin does is it helps to limit iron absorption from the small intestine, and this will help to bring down hepcidin levels in the blood, or bring down iron levels in the blood. So hepcidin works to decrease iron in the blood. There are two forms of dietary iron. You may have heard about these before, heme and non-heme iron. So heme is going to be derived from hemoglobin, which again is in red blood cells, and it's going to be found in animal sources. Non-heme iron is derived from plant foods. So there is some iron in plant foods. Heme iron is better absorbed by our bodies than non-heme iron, so the absorption of heme iron ranges from 15 to 35%, and whatever else you eat in the meal doesn't impact the absorption of it. With non-heme iron, we only absorb 2 to 20%, so the absorption is relatively significantly decreased. And it also depends on what else you eat at the same meal. So if you have a lot of plant sources of iron, or if you also are consuming calcium at the same meal, that could hinder or prevent some of the absorption to not be as efficient as with the heme iron. So we'll talk about some ways that we can improve iron absorption by food combinations that we eat. So what are some good sources of iron? Heme iron, all animal products are going to be good sources of heme iron. So beef, chicken, oysters, seafood, shrimp, whatever. And the non-heme, fortified cereals and oatmeal, some fruits and vegetables, so spinach, those dark green leafy vegetables, asparagus, raisins. Other dried fruits are good sources of iron. Black beans, whole wheat bread. So look for things that are fortified as well. So remember, heme is from plant sources. The recommended intake for iron is 18 milligrams a day for women and 8 milligrams a day for men. So this need is increased for women because of the loss of iron during menstrual cycles. So how can we improve our iron absorption? There are certain foods that influence or can inhibit or promote iron absorption. So things that increase absorption are proteins. So heme irons are going to improve or increase iron absorption. And if you pair vitamin C with an iron source, this can actually further help to increase iron absorption. So remember, vitamin C, we often think of fruits, but vegetables are also a good source of vitamin C, so bell peppers would be a good example. So, if you had an orange and a hamburger, that would be a great way to help increase iron absorption. Things that decrease iron absorption or compete with iron for absorption are things like oxalic acid, which are found in spinach, which remember is a source of iron, a non-heme source of iron, and chocolate. Phytic acid, which is found in wheat bran and legumes, can also decrease absorption. Tannins found in teas, chocolates, red wine, also chocolate. Polyphenols that are in coffee and chocolate. And then calcium and phosphorus would also decrease iron absorption. So if you had something like a cereal and you put milk on it and you also had a cup of tea, you're really not getting all of that iron. Not all of the iron that you're consuming in that meal is going to be consumed. So just something to think about, some combinations to help increase your iron absorption, because this is one of the minerals that we do see more deficiencies of. Which brings us to the fact that iron deficiency really is a big problem. It's the most widespread nutrient deficiency around the world. So symptoms include things like fatigue, having a low attention span, not being able to concentrate, a decreased or poor appetite, increased susceptibility to infection, because we talked about one of the roles of iron is to maintain immune function, irritability, and then anemia. And anemia is going to be one of our symptoms in cases of severe deficiency. Causes of iron deficiency, diets that are low in iron or just malnutrition in general, any sort of body changes, so growing increases our need for iron, so if we're not getting adequate iron during that time, GI tract abnormalities, and then blood loss can all cause deficiency. So we have iron deficiency and iron deficiency anemia, and it's really important to distinguish between the two. So iron deficiency, is going to cause depleted iron stores, but that may not cause anemia. If iron deficiency pursues and gets worse, then this can result in anemia, which the blood cells are characterized by a lack of color. They're much smaller, so they're not able to transport iron throughout the body as readily as these healthy blood cells here. The most susceptible groups for iron deficiency are women of childbearing age. So again, mothers are passing their nutrients to the baby. So it's very important that they get adequate iron. Then infants, toddlers, and adolescents are all growing, so iron needs are increased during that time as well. So just something to think about, making sure that you're getting plenty of iron and pairing your foods appropriately so that you get the maximal absorption. Okay, so we talk about iron deficiency a lot, but we can also have too much iron. So in large amounts, iron is very toxic. It's usually not a problem in healthy individuals, so it's usually prevented when there's a lot of excess iron, the body just absorbs less. But some people have a hereditary condition where, their body doesn't stop absorbing iron, and the iron will actually build up in tissues, which can cause some really negative health issues. So this is, again, mostly a problem in people that have the hereditary disease. So for most of the population, we don't have to worry about this. Also with iron overload supplementation, iron supplements are the leading cause of accidental poisoning in children. So this is why you won't usually find gummy vitamins that have iron in them, because the thought is kids would eat too many of them because they taste so good, and then there could actually be iron toxicity. All right, moving on to zinc. Zinc works with proteins in every organ. It's really important for the actions of more than 50 enzymes. It's involved in the metabolism of all the various macronutrients, involved in the release of the active vitamin A from the liver. Also important for immune system function, so along with iron and vitamin C, plays a role in blood glucose regulation and other antioxidant activities. So it kind of plays a role with vitamin C as well, not only with immune function, but antioxidant work as well. If there's a zinc deficiency, this can impair healing, can decreased sperm development, your taste may be a little bit off, your growth and development may be slow, digestive function can be impaired, malnutrition can be worsened, and this is also most common in young children, elderly, and pregnant women. Excess zinc also a problem, and it can interfere with iron absorption, so you would want to be careful with consuming too much iron and zinc in a meal. And lozenges and nose sprays can also cause a toxicity of zinc and actually damage your sense of smell. Shellfish are the best sources of zinc, and zinc is better absorbed from meat products, but whole grains and legumes are also good sources. Selenium is found in soil. You can see the different roles here. There may be a role in its reducing the risk of cancer. It also plays a role in thyroid gland hormones. Deficiencies and toxicities are both rare, but toxicities can occur from overuse of supplements like many of the others that we've talked about. The content of selenium in fruits and vegetables and things that are grown in the ground really depend on the soil content of the area. And the best sources are meats, and shellfish, but vegetables, nuts, whole grains, fruits will be sources. Moving on to fluoride. Fluoride is not essential to life, but it's very important in helping to prevent the development of cavities because it promotes remineralization of teeth. It helps to form the fluoroapatite in both bones and teeth, and it really resists that dissolving factor. So it's important to build strong bones and teeth and prevent some of those caries and breakdown. If there's a deficiency of fluoride, this can cause dental decay, cavities, but too much fluoride can cause fluorosis, which is this discoloration of the teeth, and large doses can be really toxic. So our major source is fluoridated water. Fluoride usually isn't added to bottled water. So if you never drink, regular tap water, you might want to consider getting some other source of fluoride. Chromium is important to maintain glucose homeostasis. It's found in a variety of foods, specifically unrefined foods. Liver is pictured here. Most of us are probably getting our chromium from whole grains because I don't know a lot of people that like to eat liver. Copper is really important for the formation of hemoglobin and collagen. So remember, hemoglobin is also related to iron. Collagen, we talked about a lot of vitamins and minerals that are important with collagen function and formation. Copper is also important for enzyme functioning. And deficiencies and toxicities are really unlikely from food, but like everything else, if you consume a lot of excess supplements, toxicities can occur, and it's found in organ meats, seafood, nuts, and other seeds. Here are some other trace minerals and some other candidates, that are important that needed in small amounts in the body. What's important to recognize about these, which I'll let you read about the roles and some of their functions more in detail in the book, but all of these play an important role in the body, and all of them are toxic in excess. So while they're required in very small amounts, they are essential. They're very important in all the roles and the functioning of everything in the body. But too much is not a good thing either. So everything is toxic in excess. So just remember that. You can also check out Table 8.8 in your book, and this is going to highlight all of the minerals that are covered in the chapter in more detail, and kind of give a nice summary of everything as well. So we'll see you next week for Chapter 9.